You put money into your home. You did the renovations. You kept it clean. Maybe you even hired a stager. And now it's sitting on the market longer than it should, or you got an offer that felt like an insult. Meanwhile, your neighbor's house, the one that needed work, sold in 2 weeks. That is a frustrating feeling, and I see it happen all the time. If you're getting ready to sell, or you're renovating and thinking about long-term value, you need to hear this before you spend another dollar. Hit subscribe before we begin, because I post this kind of content every week, and you don't want to miss it. I'm Jerry Davis, and I've spent years in construction, renovation, and working directly with homeowners on projects that either helped or seriously hurt their resale value. I've walked through hundreds of homes with buyers, sellers, contractors, and inspectors, and I've seen the same patterns show up over and over again. Today, I'm going to walk you through 8 specific reasons why a home gets overpriced. Not overpriced by the listing agent, but overpriced by the decisions the homeowner made before the sign even went in the yard. Some of these are renovations people were proud of. Some of them are things that seemed like obvious upgrades. And some of them are outdated trends that people held on to for way too long. Let's get into it. The first one is over-improving for the neighborhood. And this one is probably the most common mistake I see. Homeowners spend $80, $90, $100,000 upgrading a house that sits in a neighborhood where everything else is selling for $250. You put in the custom cabinetry, the quartz countertops, the high-end appliances, the spa bathroom with the heated floors, and you feel like you've built something special. And you probably have. But buyers are not going to pay $350,000 for a house on a street where the ceiling is $260. Appraisers won't even support the number, and buyers know what comparable sales look like. The neighborhood sets the price ceiling, not your renovation. Here's what that means practically. Before you start any major project, pull up the recent sales in your immediate area, not your town, your street, and the surrounding 3 or 4 blocks. If the highest sale in the last year was $275, that is your ceiling. Plan your renovation budget around that number, not around what you wish the ceiling was. The second reason is garage conversions. I know this is going to make some of you upset. And look, I get why people do it. You need more space, the garage is sitting there, it seems like a natural move. But converting a 2-car garage into a bedroom, a studio, a home office, or anything else removes something that a huge percentage of buyers consider non-negotiable. People want their garage back. And in most markets, a converted garage actually reduces the value of the home rather than adding to it, even if the conversion was done with permits and looks great. Buyers mentally undo the conversion and see a problem they have to solve. If you need more living space, there are better ways to get it. A bump-out addition, finishing a basement, converting attic space with proper ceiling height. Any of those options is better than eliminating the garage. And that goes double if you're in a climate where winters are real. Third reason, the wrong type of pool. Now, before I get the angry comments, I'm not saying pools are always bad for value. In certain markets, in certain price ranges, a pool is expected, and buyers want it. But a lot of homeowners are sitting on an above-ground pool, or a small vinyl liner in-ground pool that's 15 years old and starting to show wear. And they're counting that as square footage of value. It's not. Buyers in most mid-range markets see an older pool, and they immediately start calculating new liner, chemical costs, insurance bump, fencing requirements, heating. They're not seeing an asset, they're seeing a recurring expense. And an above-ground pool, in most markets, that thing does nothing for your value. If you have a pool that's in rough shape, talk to your agent before you list. You might be better off having it inspected and presenting a clean maintenance record than letting a buyer assume the worst, or in some cases, removing it entirely if the market just doesn't support it. Fourth reason, and this one drives me absolutely nuts, personalized renovations that were never meant to sell. I walked through a house last year where the homeowner had converted the third bedroom into a professional recording studio. Soundproofing on every wall, a custom sound booth, acoustic panels, the whole thing. It was impressive. They had spent around $30,000 on it, and not a single buyer on that street needed a recording studio. That room went from being a bedroom, which is what every buyer was counting, to being a liability that was going to cost money to undo. The same thing happens with wine cellars and homes where the price point doesn't attract wine collectors. It happens with craft rooms where walls were removed and replaced with built-ins that aren't useful to anyone else. It happens with themed kids' rooms where the murals and the built-in bunk systems make buyers feel like they're buying someone else's house. Personal renovations that served your life are not automatically valuable to someone who lives differently. That's just the truth. The fifth reason is deferred maintenance dressed up with cosmetic upgrades. This is where I see sellers really get hurt. They repaint the whole interior, put new fixtures in the bathrooms, maybe drop in some new flooring, but the roof has 4 or 5 years left on it. The HVAC is original from 2003. The water heater is 12 years old. And there's a slow leak under one of the bathroom sinks that's been there so long, the cabinet floor is soft. Buyers today are doing inspections, and good buyers are hiring good inspectors. Every one of those deferred items is going to come back as a negotiating point, and buyers don't price deferred maintenance at cost. They price it at inconvenience, which is always higher. A $1,500 water heater replacement becomes a $3,000 negotiating credit in the buyer's head because they don't want to deal with it. If you're planning to sell in the next 2 or 3 years, spend the money fixing the things that fail inspections before you spend anything on cosmetics. The sixth reason is outdated trends that the homeowner thinks are still current. Granite countertops were the must-have upgrade for a long time, and a lot of homeowners still think that granite is a selling point. In some markets, it still holds fine, but in a lot of mid to upper price points, buyers are looking for quartz and older granite, especially the heavily veined busy patterns that were popular in the early 2000s, is reading as dated. Same thing with cherry wood cabinetry. It was gorgeous and premium 15 years ago. Today, buyers see it and immediately start pricing out a repaint or a replacement. Tuscan-style tile with the terracotta tones and the dark iron hardware, same problem. Open shelving in kitchens was a massive trend for a while, and now the same buyers who wanted it are realizing they don't actually want to look at their dishes every day. Barn doors in every interior doorway, shiplap on every accent wall, gray laminate flooring throughout the entire house when every other trend has moved past it. Look, I'm not saying you need to renovate every time a trend shifts, but if you renovated 5 or 6 years ago to chase a trend, walk through your home with honest eyes and ask yourself if it still looks current or if it looks like a specific moment in time. Seventh reason, square footage that doesn't function well. This one gets overlooked because people think more space automatically means more value. And in general, larger square footage does support a higher price. But I've been in 3,000 square foot homes that felt cramped and awkward. And I've been in 1,200 square foot homes that felt like they had room to breathe. Layout matters enormously. If you have a home where you have to walk through the master bedroom to get to the only full bathroom, that's a problem. If you have a formal dining room that requires you to cross through it to get from the living room to the kitchen, buyers see a layout that doesn't work for modern life. If the laundry is in the basement, when every other house in the price range has main floor laundry, that's a negotiating point. Buyers don't just buy square footage. They buy usable square footage. A poorly laid out addition or a chopped up floor plan can make a bigger house feel less functional than a smaller house with a smart layout, and buyers will price it accordingly. The eighth reason is landscaping and curb appeal that doesn't match the interior price. This, one, goes both directions. I've seen beautiful interiors that couldn't sell because the exterior looked neglected. overgrown shrubs, a cracked driveway, dead grass, no outdoor lighting. Buyers form their opinion of a home in the first 30 seconds of pulling up, and if the exterior says deferred maintenance, that assumption follows them through the entire showing. But I've also seen the opposite. Homeowners who spent $15,000 on professional landscaping, a new patio, outdoor kitchen, the works, on a home where the interior hasn't been touched in 20 years. Buyers aren't paying a premium for outdoor space when they're going to need to immediately budget for interior updates. The exterior and interior need to match the same general level of presentation. If your home is interior renovated and beautiful inside, clean up the landscaping enough to match that expectation. You don't need to spend a fortune. New mulch, trimmed shrubs, pressure-washed driveway, a few planters near the front door. That's usually enough to set the right tone. Now let me pull this all together, because I know some of you are sitting here thinking about a project you've already started or a renovation you did a few years ago, and you're wondering how much damage control you can do. Here's the honest answer. Some of it is fixable before you list, and some of it just becomes a pricing conversation with your agent. The things you can fix quickly: curb appeal, cosmetic updates, deferred maintenance items that will fail inspection, and decluttering spaces that feel too personalized. The things that are harder to address: a converted garage, a bad floor plan, a pool that needs work, those become pricing adjustments, not renovation projects. Know which category each of your issues falls into, and make smart decisions about where to spend money before you list. Tell me in the comments which one of these you were either about to do or already did, because I guarantee at least 2 or 3 of these show up in almost every home I walk through. I've had homeowners who were completely blindsided by how one decision affected everything. And I've had homeowners who caught it early and recovered. Being informed before you spend is always better than being surprised at closing. A good renovation, or a good decision not to renovate, is about understanding who you're actually building for. If it's for yourself and you plan to stay, build what makes your life better. But if you're within a few years of selling, every dollar needs to have a clear return, and that return needs to be grounded in what the market actually supports, not what you hope it does. That's the difference between a home that sells and a home that sits. Hit like, subscribe, and share this with someone who's planning a renovation or getting ready to list. I'll catch you in the next one.